Good afternoon, 6-4 Owl Parents. Mr. Hagedorn here with our weekly update. Next week is our last full 5-day week of the quarter. Mr. Hutchinson is going to end this video talking a little bit about that. We're having some kind of behavior issues and stuff going on with the kids. So Mr. Hutchinson will elaborate a little more on that at the end of this video. In math next week, Math 6 Plus, we have our Unit 7.4 quiz on Monday and Tuesday. It's a little bit longer, this quiz, so I'm going to give kids 2 days to work on that. And after that, we're going to get started on Unit 7, our next 6th grade unit, which is going to be rational numbers, which is basically just negative numbers. We're going to talk about comparing negative numbers, putting them on the number line, and then eventually we'll get to adding and subtracting negative numbers. In Math 6, we took our Unit 6 quiz number 1 today. That was on simplifying expressions, substituting in for variables if we know the value, solving those following order of operation. So starting on Monday, we're going to start looking at solving equations algebraically, solving for that variable. We'll be doing mostly just one-step problems using the inverse operation to solve those. So that will basically be our week. Next week, we will end with writing some equations, which is always a struggle for students. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.
All right, 6-4 families. We're going to start with ELA for this week. On Monday, well, today in class, we read 19, 20, and 21 of Flush. So we ended the book. It was an awesome book, by the way. Not many students finished the questions in class, which we knew because there was quite a bit of questions. So we're going to give them class time on Monday. And also on Monday, they're going to be completing a end of unit study guide that they're going to be allowed to use for the end of unit assessment on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we're going to start our final task with this World Without Fish and Flush. Flush we're going to be done with on Tuesday. And then we're going to go back into World Without Fish. And then we're going to be looking at what is a consumer guide, which is an informative consumer guide. What we're doing is we're taking perspective and persuasive writing and combining those two together. And we're going to spend some time learning what a consumer guide is on Wednesday. And then our consumer guides that we're going to be using are going to have 3 parts to them. And we're going to do the first part on Thursday and the second part on Friday. And we're going to be learning about facts from different articles that we read. So that's what we'll be doing in ELA. In science, this week we spent a lot of time getting a lot of information about soils, properties, climates, how that affects things around them. So we took a lot of information in this week. Next week, we're going to do a lot of application of that information. So on Monday, we're going to be doing some table questions. We're going to be working with groups. Then you're going to be allowed to talk to other groups to share information to see if you can figure out the different questions that I have set up for them. On Tuesday, I'm trying to think what we're doing on Tuesday. I can't remember. It's going to be something with soil, I believe. And then on Wednesday through Friday, we're going to be getting into soil conservation. It will be our last part of soil. Oh, Tuesday's a test on soil. That's what it is. I forgot. It's a quiz on soil. And then soil conservation, which means methods of why we should protect the most valuable resource we have on the planet, which is soil, because all our food grows in it. Here's Mr. Hutchinson with social studies. Hopefully it stays dry this weekend.
I don't know. Dirt. If you don't know what you're doing in science, it's probably dirt. Okay, so
Soil.
Dirt. Soil. So let's talk social studies very quickly, and then we'll talk about what we're seeing kind of behaviorally in the classrooms right now on the Owls team. So social studies, we're just about finished with our unit on economics. We have 2 things left to do. We've been talking about Mesopotamia. We're going to talk a little bit, and the Silk Road, and we're going to finish off our Silk Road conversation on Monday and maybe Tuesday. We're going to do a little simulation game where we talk about the kinds of things that were traded along the Silk Road, some of the dangers and pitfalls of doing that land route trading along the Silk Road. And then we're going to talk about the gold and salt trade of West Africa. So we're going to talk about the West Africans and the gold, the salt, Mansa Musa, the amount of money that he kind of accrued in that kingdom of Mali. And then we'll be done with economics. We'll then move on into social structures, and we'll talk about the kind of ranking of people in historic times. So we know that we have basically 2 weeks of school left right now, and unfortunately we are seeing more and more behaviors here on team. Mostly it's students who are not very focused on learning right now in the classroom. The hallways are becoming more and more a kind of zone of out of control behavior. So, what we're asking you to do is have a conversation with your students at home this weekend and next week about finishing strong. We know that we're getting close to track out, but we still have 2 solid weeks of school left, and we don't want the wheels to completely fall off. What I'm seeing a lot of right now as well is students don't have their charger, or their computer is at 1% and they just close it and they say, well, I can't do anything. I don't have to work because my computer's dead, which is not a thing. So we need you to help at home. Remind them about bringing chargers or charging their Chromebooks at home. We want you to remind them that school is meant to be a learning zone and the classrooms are meant for learning, not for playing. We have a lot of students right now that are into play zone, or I want to play around. I don't want to think. I don't want to listen. And so just give them a quick reminder that we want to finish strong these last 2 weeks. Now, anticipate that what we've decided to do, the 3 of us, is that if behavior becomes so distracting on team, we are going to put that into our system where we write students up, and we also are going to start communicating with you. So if you're starting to get some communications, it's because your student is starting to forget where they are. We are not in a playground here in the classroom. We are in a classroom. So a serious thing to think about, a serious thing to remind students of, so that they can all end this third quarter very strong, then have that break, reset, come back fourth quarter, and finish the school year off well. All right. So if you have any questions or any concerns, please let us know. If not, have a lovely weekend. We'll see you next week.